I've spent most of my life thinking about picking up money that other people leave on the ground. And you don't have to work nearly as hard. It is truly amazing when you realize that there are 70 million people in this country today who are grandparents. And can I have the next slide? That's a picture of our homepage, by the way. How do I get to the next slide? You know how. Okay, so it's a huge and growing market. There is no major company, none, that would say to you, at least with a straight face, oh, we don't talk to African Americans, they're a niche market, or, oh, Hispanics, who cares about them? Well, there are almost as many grandparents as there are Hispanic Americans and African Americans put together. It's an immense market. And it is the growth area. I was speaking to some folks in Detroit who were talking about the importance of getting a younger and younger audience. Well, if you look at the 18 to 24 market, you see that as a percentage of the size, they're staying stagnant, actually declining. You need a larger share of a declining market to just hold your own. It shows you why so many people who have the title of marketing something or other, I think really got confused because they're really good at pushing the cart in the supermarket, but not much else. Next slide, please. Thank you. 2/3 of the wealthiest segment in this country are already grandparents, and that number is growing by about 2 million a year. What is fascinating, of course, is the two columns. One, the column on the left, the dark red one, is income, and the column on the right is assets. So here's a wonderful add-on to this. 55% of all grandparents who own their own homes carry zero mortgage. Zero. Now imagine, I don't know how many of you are carrying a mortgage, but imagine if you did not have a mortgage payment to make this month. Think about what you would do with that money. You don't need income. You need disposable cash. Next slide. 3/4 of the 65 to 74 market are already grandparents. And there is a kind of an interesting change. The 45 to 54 has historically been the wealthiest in terms of income and salary. What's going to be happening over the next 2 or 3 years is the 55 to 64 will be the wealthiest. So grandparents.com focuses on, as Mary said, the dessert of life. I love that phrase since I like dessert a lot. We currently have about 525,000 monthly unique visitors who generate something about 2,300,000 visits. They come about twice a month. They generate about 8 or 9 pages of consumption each time they come. Our average click rate on an ad on our site is 3 times higher than the average click rate in conventional online sources. And when we get an advertiser who actually is willing to listen and think and grandparentize the content, grandparentize their ad, using words like grandparent and grandchild, I mean, really not brain surgery, we have seen things as much as 300 times higher click rates. So this is an audience, as Stephen said, if you talk to them and you say, hello, we like you, you're actually an audience that we are interested in talking to. I have a little piece of my audience, about 5,700 people, who have opted in to receive and participate in surveys and questionnaires, and I take great advantage of those of you who are in business. And if you are not using something called SurveyMonkey, bad on you. I ask a question on Monday and have answers and results and data on Tuesday, and that is pretty cool stuff. But I went out to Detroit recently to talk to 2.5 car companies, and what was really kind of interesting is that they don't really know very much about this audience. The data tells us that the average household over the course of its existence will buy 13 cars. 7 of them, more than half, after the head of household is 50. Now, when is the last time you saw somebody with gray hair in a car advertisement? Grandparents look for very different things in cars than they show you in advertising. Advertising tells you about how fast it goes and how it goes around corners, and do not attempt to do this in your own backyard. Our audience told us that the things that they care about when they buy cars: safety, access to the rear seat. Why would you want access to the rear seat? Oh, maybe to get the kid in and out of a car seat? Duh. Completely different set of imperatives than what Detroit is looking at. Our friends in Cincinnati, wonderful company called Procter & Gamble, sells diapers. We went out to talk to them about diapers, and they said, oh yeah, I'm sure grandparents buy diapers for themselves. And I said, no, I'm talking about infant diapers. I just have to parentheses here. This is really very interesting because key decision makers often are 27 years old, and they know almost nothing about anything. And I get in big trouble when I say things like that, but it's really true. They know almost nothing about anything. And so I said to them, no. Grandparents buy diapers and inventory diapers and baby food and all sorts of other things in their home. What for? So that the children will bring the grandchildren more often. Oh, you get this like, oh, deer in the headlight kind of thing. So P&G said, okay, we'll buy that, so they'll have a half a dozen diapers around. I said, no. We went out and did some econometric stuff, and we were able to come back and tell Procter, and we're telling you, that the grandparents of America spend $1 billion on baby diapers.
So tweet that tonight, okay?
$1 billion. They spend almost $2.5 billion on children's clothing.
So with that, Jerry, you've convinced us. It's a market.
Thank God. I'm accepting insertion orders right now.
Okay, we wanted to open it up to a few questions. We have 5 minutes for questions. Great job in presenting data. So any questions from the audience? Yes.
It seems to me, certainly in my thinking, and in much of what I've heard today, that the people have tried, in some sense, to, or we collectively perhaps, are trying to pigeonhole individuals based on their age, because that's an easy thing to measure. But it seems to me, in terms of how technology might be able to help them, categorizing by capability might be more important.
Anyone want to talk about life stage marketing or?
Well, in our case, we don't really think about technology per se because 100% of our audience is online, just by definition. We do not have an offline anything. What we are focused entirely on the life stage. So it so happens our average age is like 53 or 54, and they're mostly women, duh. But 45-year-old women who are grandparents have exactly the same kinds of hot buttons that 65 and 70-year-old women who are grandparents have. They may have different physical capabilities, they may have different financial and emotional, but when it comes to their grandchildren, bang, it is when you market to a life stage as opposed to an age, you have such a clearer understanding of who your customer is. And when you're selling something, really understanding who you're selling it to is 3/4 of getting the sale done.
Mark, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I was just going to say that's true. When you're making a media plan, though, it's really difficult to buy magazines based on lifestyle, where they think they are. So the best indicator of somebody who feels like they're 65 is targeting people who are 65. That doesn't mean there aren't 75-year-olds who think they're 65 and et cetera, but when we're buying media, you just don't have access to that type of data based on the lifestyle. So you buy the next best indicator, which is their actual age, although it's not exact. But that's why we do it. I talk in terms of age because that's the data available to me to make media decisions.
One more quick question. Yes.
I didn't want to get on Facebook. My grandson insisted that I get on Facebook. So we're doing everything for our grandchildren. Spoiling them, sending them care packages, getting on Facebook,